evening, everybody. How are you all doing? Welcome to the Stephanie Humphrey channel. Woohoo! Let me see if I can get my camera like I want it. Look, let me take my calendar down because y'all don't need to see all that. Woo! How y'all doing? I'm doing amazing. Woo, well, hold on, let me get my calendar down. Okay, because y'all don't need to see that in view. How y'all doing tonight? Welcome to Sip and Say with Stephanie. I hope y'all didn't see too much of what y'all didn't need to see. Praise God. Y'all, I have my Black Paper Party shirt on tonight. I was like, I'm going to put my sweatshirt on tonight. This is actually the men's shirt that I got, but they didn't have one in the women, so I got this. So how y'all doing? I'm doing absolutely amazing tonight. How are you all doing emotionally? How are you doing mentally? How are you doing spiritually? How are you doing physically? How are you doing socially? How are you doing, y'all? I'm doing pretty good tonight. I'm thankful for every breath that I breathe. I'm thankful for this beautiful day that God has given me. I'm thankful for how God has blessed me to be a blessing to other people, that He has blessed me to humbly serve His people and serve the community and everybody that I can. So I am so thankful tonight. That is my state of heart, my state of being. I'm thankful. I'm in a state of thankfulness. Y'all, I do have an announcement to share with you all. We're going to have a very short broadcast and podcast on tonight. So I forgot to say welcome to my podcast listeners. Welcome to the podcast listeners of the Stephanie Humphrey channel. Welcome to you who are on live with me on the Stephanie Humphrey channel, live on YouTube. Welcome. Y'all, I was checking my email and I saw that it was sent late last night. An email came through about a meeting this evening at 7:00 for educators. And this particular meeting is coming from my podcast stopped. So I'm going to re-record. Welcome to Sip and Say with Stephanie. So welcome to the Stephanie Humphrey podcast listeners. Welcome to the Stephanie Humphrey channel listeners. I was trying to get to my email about this event that I'm going to tonight, but I got this email to say that there is a meeting for educators tonight at 7 p.m. Like I said, it came just last night, and it's from my schooling. It's from the organization that I'm getting my schooling with. But there is a director of federal government relations for a nonprofit. She is going to be leading this session and giving us some updates and information about the potential changes and the changes and potential changes that could be happening and how we can navigate those changes as educators. And I really want to go to this meeting tonight at 7. And so the tonight show is going to be really short. I apologize that I did not give you a heads up. Like I said, the email came last night. I didn't see it until today. About midway during the day is when I saw it. And I was like, oh no. I was like, what am I going to do? Am I going to go on or not? It's like, well, I'm going to go ahead and go on. Just let this be a short show tonight. But I still wanted to give you a little bit of information. I do have 3 stories that I want to share with you tonight. And I'm going to get those stories and then I will let you go so that you can have like your hour and a half. We will normally be on for 2 hours. So you have a whole hour and a half plus to do whatever you want to do on this Thursday night. So let me see what y'all are sipping on. So let me know how you're feeling in the live chat. If you're on live with me, if you're listening to the rebroadcast of the podcast, let me know in the comment section how you are feeling tonight, because I really do want to know. And tell me what you're sipping on. Uncle Darnell, hey, how you doing? Uncle Darnell said he's sipping on H2O tonight. Me too. I got straight up water in my Powered by the Black Ancestors shirt. Y'all, it matches my not shirt, but mug. My cup, which matches my shirt. Y'all see, got to match. Oh, got to coordinate. And so I'm drinking straight. This is Black Paper Party mug, Black Paper Party sweatshirt. Come on, somebody. These are my Hoop Mob earrings. It says that girl. Yes, I am. And so I'm sipping on straight water tonight. I'm going to get me a sip, and I'm going to get right into the story so I can share the information with you and let you go. I've already put the link for the Department of Health and Human Services. That link is already in the description, so you can access that after the broadcast. from our podcast listeners. By the time you listen around 10 p.m., you'll have that information as well. So we're going to talk about Department of Health and Human Services tonight, and I have a story from Florida about Senate Bill. I think it's Senate Bill 918 is going to be my last story. So that was my last sheet. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Let me take a sip so we can get into it. Look, go ahead and like this episode. Let me know that you are here. Give me a shout out. Say, hey, I'm here tonight. Give me a shout out and go ahead and hit that thumbs up button while I take my sip. And like I said, we'll get right into the story. All right, y'all. So in case you didn't know, one of the departments in the United States administration is the Department of Health and Human Services. The Department of Health and Human Services is planning to cut about 10,000 jobs, okay, across their departments. Now, I think it is very important that you know the agencies that are under this particular department. I'm going to read them out to you, and then the link is available for you to go and actually research each of these agencies within the Department of Health and Human Services. You can go and research them for yourself. But I'm going to read these departments out so that you can hear them and you can know the potential impact this is going to have on you, your family, your community, your school, your church, your nonprofit, your organization, just on the world not the world, but the world as it relates to America. The impact is going to have on Americans. Let me say it like that, not the world. But potentially, because if the Centers of Disease Control, so there's an agency, I think there's two agencies within the Department of Health and Human Services. We're going to read them out, that focuses on HIV education and HIV prevention. That could potentially have a huge impact across the world, depending on how we communicate, how we engage with, how we collaborate with other countries as it relates to HIV. I don't know those details, but hopefully you can find them out as you go on the website and do the research for yourself, okay? So some of the all of the agencies that are under the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services is the Administration for Children and Families, the Administration for Community Living, Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health, the Administration for Strategic Preparedness and Response. That is huge. Well, of course, to me, all of these are huge, but emergency preparedness and response, come on, hurricanes, tornadoes, other natural disasters, fires, y'all. Okay, we also have the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality, the Assistant Secretary for Technology Policy, Office of the National Coordinator for Health Information Technology. We have the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry, the Assistant Secretary for Administration, the Assistant Secretary for Financial Resources. All of these are agencies, again, under the Department of Health and Human Services. The Assistant Secretary for Health, Assistant Secretary for Legislation, Assistant Secretary for Planning and Evaluation, and that's as it relates to policy coordination, legislative development, strategic planning, all of that. Next agency is Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs, Center for Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. This particular agency under the Department of Health and Human Services is one of the agencies that is funding a state program that I'm currently involved in as a representative for my church. And so when I saw this, I was like, first, I knew that some of the funding was under the Department of Health and Human Services in the state of North Carolina. It just didn't click in my brain at the time that it was under the Center for Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. So that could potentially impact the work that we're doing for our community, because we are getting funding, or could potentially get funding to support our community with wellness initiatives. So this could have an impact on my church personally with some of the wellness initiatives that we are planning to do under this program that we're a part of, that's sponsored by the Department of Health and Human Services, in part sponsored by the Department of HHS. All right, y'all. Additional agencies: Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Let me tell y'all something. I be doggone the Medicaid and Medicare better not be cut. As much money as I pay in for my Medicare, And as much tax dollars I pay to go into Medicaid, them services better not be cut. They're saying, and I say they, the current White House administration, are saying that they won't be cut, but child, I don't trust that, y'all. I need it in writing or something. But anyway, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services is under the Department of HHS. Continuing on, we have the Department Appeals Board. We have the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. We have the Health Resources and Services Administration. We have the immediate office of the secretary. They oversee the secretary's operations and coordinates the secretary's work. We have the Indian Health Services that supports our American Indians and Alaska Natives with comprehensive health services. We have the NIH, which is the National Institutes of Health. So the NIH sponsors an event called the Women's Health Awareness that happens in my community and in a couple of other communities in North Carolina. The Women's Health Awareness was scheduled to, the 11th annual Women's Health Awareness was scheduled for April 12th. We got an email in February to say that they had to postpone the event. I was so disappointed because aunties, again, not only do we get amazing information about our health and wellness, but we also collaborate with other organizations, other nonprofits, other organizations that are supporting the community with health. We also, so we collaborate, we, communicate. What's the word I'm looking for? Collaborate is not the word I wanted, but we connect with, collaborate, all of that with other organizations. But Aunties was going to have a booth for the second year. We had our first booth last year. We're going to have it again this year. And so I'm just disappointed that I'm not going to be able to get the information that I'm so used to getting to during the WHA, but then Aunties won't be able to get the word out about our organization. But y'all, the impact of the Women's Health Awareness, they in addition, let me slow down because I'm getting excited. Let me slow down. In addition to them giving us workshops and seminars about various aspects of our health, diabetes, our lung, I remember the lung, it wasn't lung, it was a kidney workshop that I went to that was absolutely amazing. We get workshops about environmental health, mental health, emotional health, taking care of our physical bodies, doctor's appointments, other illnesses and diseases that we have to sometimes potentially navigate in our lives. And it was just a wonderful time of learning and growing. And again, there's so many vendors that are there, so many opportunities for connections and collaborations, y'all. And so, and not only that, y'all, they had screenings. That's where I was getting to. Not only do they have the workshops and the vendors there, you get all this free stuff, free information, free goodies, but you also get screened. They have screening rooms. They screen you, y'all, from the rooter to the tutor. Not only do they have screenings, physical screenings, but they have they would always have a bus or like a van that would come and do mammograms for ladies who may not have insurance, may not have had a mammogram in a year, 2, 10, 15, 25 years. It gives ladies an opportunity, y'all, to get a mammogram when they may not otherwise be able to get one. And those screenings by themselves are amazing. At the WHA, I learned that I'm supposed to get checks on my eyes every single year, just like I get my annual physical. I was supposed to get a check on my eyes as well. I was telling the optometrist, I think this is about maybe 5 or 6 years ago when I got the test on my eyes. She said, when was the last time you got your eyes checked? I said, probably when I was a child. I said, the nurse at my school checks my eyes periodically, but other than that, I've never been to like optometrist, ophthalmologist, to an eye doctor. The optometrist to get my eyes checked. She said, look, you need to get your eyes checked every year like you get your annual physical. Even if nothing is wrong, having that annual check will alert you if something potentially becomes wrong or if something is happening with your eyes. That yearly eye check will help, that whatever it is to be found out early so it can be treated or dealt with, it won't become a potential problem. Y'all, I didn't know that. I know that was a lot of words. Y'all excuse me, but I didn't know that. But the Women's Health Awareness helped me with that. The Women's Health Awareness has helped me in other ways as well, dealing with my weight and my health. Y'all, I was so disappointed, but I knew exactly why. When I saw it in February and they sent the email about the postponement, I knew exactly what it was. But again, the Women's Health Awareness, amazing, was also not only sponsored by the National Institutes of Health, but also sponsored by the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. And so they were a big sponsor of this event. And so, y'all, again, NIH is under the Department of Health and Human Services. Let me keep going. The for Civil Rights, Office of Global Affairs, Office of Inspector General, Office of Intergovernmental and External Affairs, Office of Medicare Hearings and Appeals. Come on, somebody, if you need to talk to somebody about not getting your Medicare, or maybe you're not getting your full benefits and you need a hearing, you need an appeals, it's under the Department of HHS, y'all. The Office of General Counsel is under this department, and the last office or agency is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, the SAMHSA. Y'all, I love the SAMHSA. I visit their websites often for information about mental health. It has information about substance abuse as part of what this agency does, but my focus is about mental health. But if I want to know about statistics or updates, any news, information about mental health, I go straight to the SAMHSA because that's where the information is. And so I'm praying and hoping that this particular agency remains active. So you all, those are the agencies that are under the Department of Administration. I mean, excuse me, not Department of Administration, but the Department of Health and Human Services that could potentially be impacted if these 10,000 jobs are eliminated. Y'all, that's huge. That is huge. And so, what has been said by the HHS secretary, y'all know Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is the HHS secretary. In my opinion, he is unqualified to be in this position. Again, that's my opinion. He is unqualified to be in this position. But this is what he said. This is a quote. And this is from NBC News Online. This is what he said. He said, "We will eliminate an entire alphabet soup of departments while preserving their core functions by merging them into a new organization called the Administration for Healthy America." Administration for Healthy America? But that's what he said. That's what he said. So currently the Department of Health and Human Services has 28 divisions. With these potential cuts, they are looking to restructure the HHS to make it 15 divisions. I don't know if they're going to combine some of the current divisions. I can't say. I don't have that information in front of me, but we'll have to see what happens. I do want to note that shrinking or these job cuts would take the department's full-time workforce, because they're looking to cut full-time positions, you all, but it will take the department's full-time workforce from 82,000 to 62,000. And this is not only the cuts that are happening now, but the layoffs that have already happened. Okay. So combining all of the cutoffs is going to cut or potentially cut about 20,000 individuals from the Department of Health and Human Services. Y'all, so the spokesperson for the HHS, he noted in this article that I read that the reorganization will not impact Medicare and Medicaid. We'll just have to see, nor will it impact the Federal Drug Administration's review of drugs and medical devices, as well as food. We'll have to see. We'll just have to see, y'all. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed about this. Let me give you a little bit more information. The representative went on to say, "This is not just a reorganization of HHS, it's also a slashing of the federal workforce, which will ultimately affect government services. People and healthcare providers may find themselves waiting longer to get help and get their questions answered, and that will cause frustration and delays in services." So I'm sorry, you all. Let me get the quote right. Let me get the right person, okay? So this particular quote, so let me correct myself in real time, right? So this particular quote was stated by Larry Levitt, who is Executive Vice President of Health Policy at KFF. This particular group is a nonprofit group that researches health policy issues. Okay, so this quote is from Larry, who is Executive Vice President of Health Policies at KFF. So I apologize for that misquote, but I did correct myself, so that's there. Um, there is an employee of the FDA, and this employee is not unanimous, but anonymous. He's anonymous. He or she is anonymous. But they noted that the cuts to FDA, in particular, the Federal Drug Administration, will still adversely affect our mission. It doesn't matter if they're not directly cutting reviewers. We're only able to review because of a lot of back end support. So some of the cuts could potentially impact the FDA employees reviewing those drugs and the food and the medical devices. It could definitely impact the review of that, the timely review of that, maybe the thorough review of that. But it could definitely impact review of those areas. So, who y'all? Okay. So yeah, I think that's all I want to say about that. Again, the link for the HHS department is already in the description, so you'll have that information. And then you can do some additional research for yourself. I just encourage all of us to keep an eye on this, because I feel like if any of these agencies are eliminated, or even if they're combined with each other, it could potentially impact us, our family, our community, our everybody, who are benefiting from the federal funds that trickle down to the states and then our local communities, in these concerning these agencies or under these agencies. That money that the agencies get trickles down to the state and local. It can impact us getting the resources that we need to take care of us, with our health and our wellness. So let's all just keep an eye on this and just see what's going to happen. And you can also reach out to your legislators. You don't have to just wait and see what happens. I don't have to just wait and see what happens. You can actually go ahead and talk to your legislators, talk to your local officials, and let them know. Ask them, what are they doing? Like, what are they doing as an elected official to combat this potential decrease in resources for the community from the Department of Health and Human Services? So talk to your legislators, let them know how you feel and how this will impact your family and your community. You can call, you can write, you can go visit the legislative building. So do your part in holding our elected officials accountable. Okay. I know this is coming from the administration, the Trump administration, but you can still talk to your elected officials, because they have some impact. And they have impact on what's going on. Our legislators are not using their authority as elected officials, but they have it, and we just have to hold them accountable for using it, so that we will not suffer in the wake of the foolishness that is happening currently. Give me a gulp of water. And so, y'all, in light of what is happening with the Department of Health and Human Services, there are a group of agencies and organizations that just called the group. So I didn't get a chance to see who is involved with these groups, but it is a groups. That's the name that they're going under. They have actually filed a lawsuit against the United States Department of Health and Human Services after the agency cut funding to the program that provides legal representation to unaccompanied minors. So, excuse me, y'all. So, there are about 600,000, or more than 600,000 migrant children who have crossed the southern border without a parent or a legal guardian since 2019. There are rules and regulations that support these children, and there are agencies that are given money by the federal government to be representatives for these unaccompanied minors. Unfortunately, well, before I get there, let me tell you this information, then I'll get to the unfortunately. These groups, these agencies, these organizations have received over $200 million in federal grants, again, to support these young people, to be their legal representation and support them as they are working towards, citizenship within the United States of America. And so the lawsuit is asking the United States District Court for the Northern District of California. They are asking a federal judge to issue an injunction and block the HHS from ceasing to fund legal representation for these unaccompanied migrant children. And so, based on the filing, this is according to ABC News, but based on the filings, and this is a quote, as a consequence of defendants ordering plaintiffs to stop providing direct legal services, many unaccompanied children will never speak to a lawyer, will never apply for immigration relief for which they are eligible. They will remain in tenuous status for longer and will not understand what is happening as they are rushed through adversarial removal procedures. Can y'all imagine a child standing before a judge trying to defend themselves? They're from another country. They may speak English, they may not speak English, but they're standing before a judge or before other officials trying to plead their case. Can y'all imagine that? Just a child having to do that because funds have been cut to the agencies and the organizations that would provide the legal representation that they need. Now many of us or some of us may say, well, they shouldn't be over here to begin with. Well, since they're here, we should be able to provide some type of support to them. And legal representation is that support so that they could potentially become citizens of the United States of America. But again, the funding, because I don't know a lot of people that work for free. There are some people that, out of the kindness of their heart, they will help others, and even lawyers do pro bono work, meaning they're not getting paid for the work that for the work that they are doing to help their clients. But if you're thinking about, the hundreds of thousands of children, that's a lot of work. And those legal representatives, they need to get paid. They need to get paid for the work that they're doing. So this is really hurting these unaccompanied migrant children. And so, another quote from the groups that have filed this lawsuit. They said defendants' actions will also cause chaos throughout the immigration legal system and are particularly harmful because they come at a time when the government is reinstating expedited docketing for removal cases for unoccupied children, meaning that they did stop, under the Trump administration, expedited services for these migrant children. It was stopped under the Trump administration, but according to a federal judge, they actually reinstated the expedition of some of these cases, not all of them, because a couple of hundred, it's 100, 600, over 600,000 children, but they have been able to, the reinstatement of expediting these dockets, um, so that the children's cases can be heard. That has been reinstated or restored. So now is the time for those lawyers to be able to get their client's case heard. And if they don't have the money to do so, then it's just going to back up the dockets. It's going to back up these children from being heard and being supported. And so this may or may not affect you, but it's children. And I'm an educator, so it's important to me. And so just wanted to share that with you. Yeah, that's whoa, it's interesting. I do want to share this quote from an attorney named Sam. I'm gonna say Sam H. His last name is spelled Hsieh. He is an attorney at the Amica Center, and he noted that this uh, decrease of funds, and in some cases elimination of funds, and this is a quote, he said, okay, this is not the quote. So this, and then here's the quote, is the most brazen attack on immigrant children since family separation, and we know that happened under the Trump administration the first time around. Um, the attorney went on to say, this is a quote, the Trump administration's decision to terminate these national legal service programs poses a significant threat to the rights of already vulnerable unaccompanied migrant children, immigrant children, the already vulnerable unaccompanied immigrant children. Many of these children are eligible for immigration relief, but are unable to meaningfully seek it without an attorney, because children don't know how to navigate the legal system, and definitely children who are migrant or immigrants, they don't know how to navigate the legal system. So legal representation is there for them. But again, this is wow. So I'm gonna be following that story for sure, you all, because I want to know what's going to happen with these agencies, with these groups that I'm pretty sure for some time now, been working to support these children and provide the legal representation for these children. And I definitely want to know what's going to happen. So I'm going to be following this story. All right, y'all. The last story that I'm going to get to before I go, because my webinar, I'm looking at it right now, my webinar is starting. So I want to be able to get to it so that I can listen to the information as it relates to education. So the last story that I want to share with you is about the Senate bill. This is a Florida Senate bill, and Senate Bill 918. If you don't live in Florida, this will not impact you necessarily, but you all know sometimes these bills and these laws that are passed in other states sometimes trickle down to other states. It trickles down to other states. So man, again, education, this is about the kids. And so this is interesting. So I want you to know, if you forgot or you didn't know, that last year, the Florida legislation, they passed a law that maintained a 30-hour work week limit for young people ages 16 and 17 when school was in session. That particular law did allow for parents, legal guardians, or school superintendents to waive the 30-hour limit, meaning that these 16 and 17-year-olds could potentially work more than 30 hours during a work week, y'all. That's a school day. Those are school days for them. They've done it again, right? Senate Bill 918. In this bill, they are removing restrictions for 14 and 15-year-olds who have graduated from high school, are homeschooled, or attend virtual schools. So, in other words, they will have employees can hire 14 and 15-year-olds and have them to work. Let me see if it says it here. So it doesn't say here, and I actually read the bill, not the law, but the bill, and don't remember what it says, but it does remove restrictions for 14 and 15-year-olds who have graduated from high school, homeschool, virtual school, as it relates to their work. I don't know what the previous restrictions are, so we're going to have to look that up. So maybe I'm going to have to update us about the previous restrictions for the 14 and 15-year-olds. But one of the sponsors of this bill is Representative Jay Collins in Tampa. This is what he said about it. He said, and this is a quote, ultimately, we're not talking about The Jungle, which is a book by Upton Sinclair. We're talking about them, meaning that these teenagers working at Publix, at Piggly Wiggly, or jobs within the industry. This is a parental rights thing. Parents know their kids best. One of the opponents of this law is Senator Carlos Guillermo Smith from Orlando. He feels like the lessening of restrictions that this bill will allow, if it's passed and put into law, that it is really for teenagers to work in the jobs that the immigrants were working in. So y'all know that Trump administration, as they've been quote unquote cracking down on immigrants and sending them back to their home country in some cases. And so Representative Smith feels like, okay, well, our immigrant population is gone. We need somebody to work these jobs. So let's get the teens to do it. Let's get the kids to do it. He might be right, but that's what he's thinking, and he might be right about it. And these restrictions could potentially allow employees to force these young people to work long hours, you all, and risk being fired, and which could be detrimental to those teenagers who are working to support their families. It could definitely be detrimental to them. All right, y'all. Representative Smith went on to say this bill is going to lead to exploitation of minors, exploitation of children. Another opposer of the bill is Senator Tracy Davis of Jacksonville, Florida. She noted that this bill, and this is a quote, takes away basic safeguards. Senator Davis went on to say there's something detrimentally wrong with what we're doing here in this legislation. And I do want it noted that there were young people who made comments concerning this bill, and some of their concerns included that this proposal could potentially increase. Excuse me, let me make sure. This particular bill, if it became law, it could potentially cause academic decline amongst students. It could potentially increase pressure that students who are working to help support their families financially, it could potentially increase that pressure. And it could also potentially cause sleep deprivation amongst the teenagers who are working these long hours. If you think about it, a child is in school about 7 hours a day. And think about if they have to go to work after school and then they still have homework and other maybe chores at the house, like that's a lot. Even as an adult, I work 8 hours a day and I've got to come home and cook and do some cleaning or do whatever I need to do around the house. Sometimes I'm tired as an adult, and I know young people have more energy than I do, but I'm thinking about their academics, their social, emotional, their mental health. So I appreciate the students that spoke about or spoke against this bill. I'm thankful for their courage that they spoke up against it for themselves and for their peers. And so I'm not in Florida, but I'm definitely going to be following this story. 14-year-olds, in my opinion, should not be working unless it was like detrimental for them to work, but they should not be working. That's my opinion. So, you all, those are the stories that I have for you tonight. I forgot to give us our Black History facts, so let me do that now. And then, you all, I'm going to have to go so I can join my webinar that is already in progress. So I'm going to give you a few Black History facts from the Equal Justice Initiative. Today is March 27th. So on March 27th, 1908, after shooting a Black man for swearing, quote unquote, swearing on a Washington, D.C. streetcar, U.S. Representative James Thomas Heflin of Alabama receives broad support and faces no charges. On March 26, 1944, the Reverend Isaac Simmons, a Black man, is lynched in Amite County, Mississippi, by 6 white men who want his family's land. His family flees the area under threats of violence. So these white folks stole their land. Last quote I'm going to share with you: on March 25th, 1931, nine black teens accused of raping 2 white women in Scottsboro, Alabama, are almost lynched. The quote unquote Scottsboro boys gain national attention after their racially biased trial results in death sentences. So those are our Black History facts for the evening. Again, you all, thank you so much for joining tonight. I'm sorry that the broadcast is short, but like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, I just got an email late last night, and then I didn't see it till today about an education webinar, and I want to be there so that I can ask questions, see other questions that are asked and answered, and just want to be a part of that community so we'll know how we are to advocate for ourselves and for our colleagues moving forward. Okay, y'all, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to let your community know that the Stephanie Humphrey channel and the Stephanie Humphrey podcast is happening every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. I will have a guest coming on next month and in May, so I'm excited about that guest coming. You all, let me go ahead and let you know that the Be Well Connection, I think I told you last Thursday, but um, we will be providing some well education courses, hopefully starting in the summer. But what I want you to do is I want you to check out the link that I just put in the chat. It is our survey. So while me and my team are planning our programming for the summer, we want to hear from you. We want to know what type of education, wellness education courses will support you, support your family, support your community. Fill out the link or fill out the survey using the link and let us know what type of well education classes you need, so that we can start planning and hopefully launch out in the summer. Okay, you all, that's all I have for you tonight. Thank you for joining me. I will see you next Thursday, March 6th for some Bible study. Y'all, we're going to get into the word. I think I have my topic ready. We'll see what the Lord says, if he's going to let me stick with that one, or if he's going to give me another one. We'll see. But you all be blessed. Take care. I pray that you have a wonderful evening, a wonderful rest of the week, and a wonderful weekend. Y'all celebrate as March goes out. Y'all celebrate, because them April showers, they are a coming. All right, y'all, take care and be blessed.